Welcome to MRE Uncut, where we'll give you real and practical insights into the real estate scene in Melbourne. We'll discuss what's happening in the industry, all backed by MRE's history of over 30 years in the game. With that said, let's jump into this week's episode of MRE Uncut.
Welcome to another episode of MRE Uncut. Today I am joined by Alex Wright, our Senior Residential Sales Executive, Sophie Carmichael, our Residential Sales Executive, and Izzy Morel, our Employee Experience Lead. It's a bit of a tongue twister.
It is.
Today's discussion is kind of about an untraditional path into becoming a sales executive. Because both of you have come from the PM world, and we're talking about that transition. So what made you both originally get into real estate?
Who first?
Alex, you're up.
Me? It's in my family. Dad's got a real estate agency in Ballarat, Geelong, Bendigo. So I always had a bit of a passion growing up watching what he did, and just sort of got into it. It wasn't fully intentional at the time, but I just sort of stuck around 7.5 years later.
Awesome. Sophie?
I don't have the family roots, I guess, but it's always something that I knew I wanted to do. I knew all throughout high school it's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go to uni.
Any particular reason?
I just couldn't see myself going to uni or anything like that. And I knew I could be a salesperson, and I just felt like residential sales was that for me.
Yeah. So when I'm assuming, Sophie, like you saw the CCAD for a property manager, like why did you start in on that level?
At the time when I first sort of finished school and I was looking to get into real estate, there wasn't too much within, too many sales roles available. I actually reached out to another one of our residential sales executives, Talisa Paris, because I knew of her name. I knew she was working at MRE. Just DM'd her on Instagram and said, like, hey, what do you recommend? Do you think I should keep trying looking for a sales role, or do you think like getting into a property management role for now is a good path? She said, get your foot in the door where you can and just see where that takes you. So that's what I did.
Yep. And Alex, you've been here for 7 years, you just said, thereabouts. Like,
No,
four.
Four at MRE.
7 years.
7.5.
5.5 at MRE.
5.5, sorry.
What type of experience lead are you?
Yeah, I know. Deduct the points.
Where did you start?
Started working in property management in Ballarat before I came here. Actually started in leasing for a few months, then property management, and then started at MRE, started 2019 as a portfolio manager. So,
did you have a company car at your old agency?
I did, yep.
Isn't there a
blue.
story about that where you got a call up from someone telling you to stop zooming around the streets of Ballarat?
Unfortunately, yeah.
That's a good
driving
one.
past my old primary school, zipping around in a 40 zone, going about
That's
50 or
not
60, I
good.
think. It wasn't, no. Wasn't ideal.
Mm-hmm.
How do you both think that transitioning from property management into a sales role has helped your career and how you deal with the clients on a daily basis?
I think like the relationships you build and sort of nurture throughout your time as a property manager definitely helped me start those sort of similar relationships with potential sellers. I've noticed a little bit with the rest of the team that haven't had a lot of exposure to property management or that sort of service before, that they not so much struggle, but it takes them a little bit more to sort of understand how to deal with different people and sort of cater to how they want their property transaction to sort of pan out. So
Definitely.
Mm.
I also think with the stock we deal with, a lot of it being sort of like tenanted properties, and we do deal with tenancies day in and day out. Sort of having that property management background and understanding of that sort of legislation also gives us, I guess, that knowledge that we're able to provide to our vendors
100%.
to educate them on that sort of side of things as well, because we're sort of across both side of things, like legislation sales-wise and also PM-wise, which is valuable.
Absolutely.
So if you transitioned like not really that long ago, I remember the day that you came in as the buyer and client manager. I think it's like May 15th.
Spot on.
I'm just like an elephant.
so
I'm an
good.
elephant.
We
You
don't
don't
have my
have
job.
I think I should pick your job.
You can.
No, I'm joking.
I
don't
also
want that.
remember though when you joined MRE, and we can get into the interview process of yours a little bit later, but you were like, I'm going to do 5 years of property management.
Yeah, look.
Give me 5 years. And I guess, like a year later.
It was just over a year, 5 years. I have no idea what I was thinking. I was just trying to, I guess,
Get the job.
I was just trying to get the job.
That's all right. That's okay.
But
We'll do that.
yeah, I was very fortunate that I had a lot of support from a few people and sort of sped up the process and put me exactly where I wanted to be as quickly as possible.
Have you guys had any like investors and landlords that you were dealing with from the PM side come and contact you now that you're a sales exec?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think a lot of my first clients were a lot of my landlords that were interested in, so building those relationships probably helped me really kickstart the first probably 3 months getting to sales, I think. They, obviously had a relationship with them for, I think 4 years. I worked as a PM at MRE, maybe 3 or 4 years. So, yeah, it definitely helped.
Even some like previous tenants as well, especially big developments that we frequently deal with, like Mason Square and Mooney Ponds. They're even reaching out to me now because they see our name a lot around in the sales space as well, which is quite funny.
So obviously we've talked about the positives of transitioning. What are some of the challenges that you've both found from being a PM to then in sales? Like everything's got to have negatives.
I
don't think there really
That's good. That's good. That's fantastic.
Probably the only thing is the not having the security of a fixed salary, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the only thing. I was a little bit nervous jumping into a sales exec role, jumping onto a retainer and that sort of thing. But I landed on my feet pretty quickly, I think. So,
and I think you
hasn't been
made
an
the
issue.
right move at the exact right time.
Right time. I put it off for years.
Yeah, I
put it off
think
for years.
we've got, I think Steve and Michael would vouch that they were really pushing you to get into sales maybe 2 years before you actually did. And you took your time and you knew that it wasn't right for you then and it's right for you now. And I think you've really flourished at that time as well.
Yeah, I guess that's a really good lead into my next question. The mentoringship that you've received from MRE, how did that influence your decision? At what point were you guys like, hey, I really do want to become sales? Did you go speak to Michael Farber, our sales manager? Like, how did that all happen?
Want me to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I explored a few different options before I made the decision to become a sales exec. Like there's a senior PM property management pathway thing that we did and ended up being a senior portfolio manager for maybe a year or two. I looked into being a BDM as well. We did a sort of an internal course thing for that.
We did a BDM program. That was fun.
BDM experience or whatever it was called. So I looked into that as well, decided it wasn't quite for me. I would have been really good at it, I think. But Steve Fitzsimon, although he's a big pain in the butt, he's probably the person that he probably pushed me really to get into sales. Like what was the word he said? I didn't want to get into sales initially because I didn't want to work Saturdays. And he just looked at me and said, mate, where is your drive? And I just sort of sat on that for probably a month and then called Michael Farber and, sort of set up a bit of a plan for me to transition into the sales team.
And you, Soph?
Like I said before, I always knew I did want to get into the sales space and I made that pretty clear when I first started at MRE, but with a 5-year plan. But I was really, really lucky to be working closely, firstly with Tilly Gillen, who is now our head of property services. But at the time, I was her sort of property management assistant working closely with her. She really drove sort of my transition. Even though we loved working together, she knew that was my goal and she really helped speed that up as much as she can. She always sort of put my progression as the most important thing.
Yeah, and I might be wrong here, but didn't she take on your portfolio
spot on
just for the sake of you to move?
She did.
Basically when you wanted to move as well, which I just think shows amazing leadership and care at MRE as well.
She did take on a big chunk and at the time she was already managing the most ridiculous workload, but that definitely did not stop her. And she worked really closely as well with Michael Farber, our sales manager, who is supportive like crazy, honestly. Supportive doesn't even explain how much he did, but he's been really, really influential in the whole process as well.
Rents have increased by 12.58% in the past 12 months across MRE's portfolio. If your property hasn't seen the same growth, get it expertly appraised by contacting MRE now on 9829-2900 or visit our website by searching for mre.today.
So I want to talk about the interview process from when you both probably sat down with Izzy.
Sophie and I, yes.
Yeah. Tell me, first time coming into MRE, how did that look?
Well,
You go.
Well, firstly, I actually applied for a job at MRE. The first ever job in real estate I applied for was actually a leasing consultant at MRE, and it was before Izzo was our head of.
I wasn't in charge.
She wasn't in charge, and I got knocked back. And then a year later, I went for round 2. Thankfully, it was Izzo. It was a bit of a funny interview. It was pretty last minute notice. It was after hours. I just finished an open. It was a 40-degree day. It was
so hot.
It was so hot. It was actually, I think, it would have been towards like the tail end of COVID. So
I think
we
it
were
was
still
a
doing.
Wednesday. I
Bloody
don't
hell,
know
that's
why I remember
specific.
that, but that is
Actually, I think it
I think it was.
And then we were still doing like interviews online because it was towards the tail end of COVID. 40 degrees, finished my open, get in the car, my old car that did not have aircon.
That you just got rid of. Not that long ago.
I don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
But very, very hot. Izzo and I are on Teams or whatever it was.
Yep.
Every 5 to 10 minutes, my phone started overheating and the Zoom would cut out, and Izzy was kindly waiting around for about 10 minutes every time while my phone cooled down and I could reconnect to the.
And I remember I was in a white shirt and I was like, it's so hot. Can this girl just get her
my
act together?
My 50-degree car was a bit hotter.
Yeah.
But somehow after like an hour of cutting in and out, somehow it went well.
Yeah. Well, you're still here
and
today.
here I am.
What about Alex? Did you you didn't interview
I
him?
didn't interview Alex, but I do remember the day that you came in for your caliper and I set that up for you. That was, 5.5 years ago. But do you want to tell us a little bit about the interview process? I think you were interviewing with us and then one other agency.
Interviewed with 3 other agencies that day. So I think MRE was
Busy
my
boy.
first one. It was a busy day. It's a bit daunting coming down from Ballarat. I hadn't really spent much time in Melbourne. I didn't know how to get anywhere.
Did you drive?
So drove to my brother's place in Yarraville, and then I think I caught a train to South Yarra and then just Ubered for the rest of the day.
That's an easy way.
Yeah, but I had first interview with MRE in the morning. I exited that, and I think they asked me to come back maybe an hour later to have like a second round interview. Went and got a coffee. Was wearing a blue suit with a white shirt, and came back to the office and accidentally spilt it all over myself. I don't know what happened, but
before you got to our office?
Before the second interview. So I had to go rush around Toorak Road in South Yarra and find a shirt shop and get changed.
You don't have that same shirt, do you?
It's many years ago. I hope not. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Round to interview, came back at like 5:30 that night to do my caliper, and maybe got the offer the next day, I think. So
and then started like a week later.
I can't remember. No idea.
Something like that. We'll go
Something
with that.
like that.
We
Yep.
definitely don't muck around at MRE,
No,
do we?
we don't. We're pretty like quick. I just hired our new front of house team member yesterday and she starts tomorrow. So 2 days.
Amazing.
Let's get her in.
Crazy.
Can you both, I know that a typical sales day obviously varies between agencies. What does that look like for you both at MRE? Alex, you can go first.
Yeah, a lot of the mornings are spent preparing for, I guess, the afternoon or week ahead sort of thing. A lot of phone calls, chatting with clients, checking in, seeing how we can sort of assist them, I guess, in preparing their property for sale. Afternoons are usually pretty jam-packed with buyer appointments, photography appointments, open homes.
3 p.m. snack run.
Sometimes a 3 p.m. snack run, yes. And then, of course, meeting potential sellers as well and meeting them out of their home or their investment property or wherever it might be. That's a pretty typical day.
What do you do for yourself, I guess, before your day, like before you kickstart your day? What's one thing kind of you do for yourself?
Yeah, I'm not the best at consistency, but I try to get to the gym pretty early.
Yep.
I have a bit of a morning routine. It probably takes me like a good hour to get ready for work. Just slowly make myself a coffee, smoothie, iron a shirt.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
And Soph, you're at the gym every day.
Yes, it's a non-negotiable for me. Every morning at the gym, just make sure I'm doing something for myself every day, especially because some days it can be at our desk a lot of the days or just like sitting inside of the office. So it's good to get moving in the morning.
This girl even has a shower before she goes to the gym.
3 showers a day.
It's crazy.
I'm about that though.
Really?
It's very,
It wakes you up. I
It
guess.
wakes you up. I'm
Maybe
ready
I
to
might
go.
try it.
Yeah.
I'm more of a roll out of bed, go to the gym.
I'm
Do you have like a
charging.
water saver timer in your shower just
No.
to make sure that you're not?
No,
She doesn't care about
that.
Coming from a buyer and client manager as well, where you kind of originally started in the sales team, how are you now utilising the newer buyer and client managers as you've transitioned into the sales executive role? Because you obviously have done both. So, I mean, it would be hard to kind of give up doing something that you were so good at anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, like changing roles and now sort of being able to like utilise Flynn myself. But it's really positive to be able to sort of have them for any, I guess, anything that I'm not able to do time-wise. It's really beneficial to have them to sort of take on those extra inspections or whatever it may be. But also they meet so many more buyers as well because their role is so buyer focused. So it's good to be able to sort of, if they have buyers that I may not have met, they can sort of drag them across to our properties as well. So it's really beneficial in that sense.
And it's awesome that you have that trust within each
definitely.
other, that you know you can handball something to them and they can pick it up and meet that person at 6:30 or 6 p.m. if you can't as well. So I think your team, our sales team, are really lucky to have one another. I think you all kind of love each other so much.
Spot on.
And it's really important, and you just don't see that really anywhere else sometimes. So it's nice to know that you've all got each other's backs.
Obviously, MRE, we're really big about internal growth. What is your advice that you would give to maybe one of our leasing team, a PM who is looking to move into that sales role? Like, what advice would you give them?
I definitely think be vocal about what you want. I think a lot of people, I mean, I've heard whispers of a lot of people throughout the company, like we're a really big team, but a lot of people are saying, in the future I want to get into the sales team, but they don't make it known. You only hear from them telling one person, then it sort of just trickles through. Like you have to make it known, otherwise it's never going to happen. I mean, I spoke to Tilly, Michael, Jake Workman, Izzo, literally everybody, pretty much every month
She was
until it
knocking on
happened.
our door.
I was like, when's it happening? What's the date? Like, tell me when. And everyone in the company knew that's what I wanted to do.
She was patient and then she was impatient.
Yeah. But you have to make it known. Otherwise, if you don't want it enough for yourself, it's not going to happen.
What about you, Alex? Any words of wisdom?
I just think show a lot of initiative. Like if you really want something, like reach out to Michael Farver, see if there's any way that you can sort of support the team if you want to join into the sales department, tag along to open homes with people, like really just sort of jump into the deep end a little bit. Obviously, you need to be vocal about it as well and make sure that the right people know that that's sort of the path you want to take. But other than that,
it's all about talking to the right people.
Definitely.
I think. Come to us, go to your team leader and be vocal about it.
I actually remember when I was still in property management, I went out on a Saturday a few months before I transitioned and did a full Saturday run with Alex.
Really?
Yeah,
I
went
think
around
I
in
do
his
remember
car.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, just to try and get my foot in the door a bit.
Exactly. And I don't think you even got paid to do that. No. There you go. And then wasn't there another time where
Alex was then sick one week and I was able to step in because I'd done it before.
Because you had done it before and you weren't even in that team yet as well. So
still in PM.
Good
there
looking
you
out.
go.
Yeah.
I think we called her at like 8 a.m. and she was like, yep, I'm on it. Show that initiative.
Unreal.
It pays to be a morning person, really.
Exactly.
I know. She had 2 showers by then.
Alex and Sophie, thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to watching you both achieve amazing things in your roles. You're both doing amazing. And thank you for joining us on MRE.
Amazing.
Uncut.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.